Hi everybody, this is Jim, and I want to talk about the builder in this video. I'm going to go into all the details surrounding the builder so you have a good understanding of all the features and functions that's on this builder screen. So let's talk about the layout of the builder first. So we have layout, I'm using the word twice, but we have a layout column in the left, which has layout and layout sections. We have visual design in the middle, and the visual design is a representation of what your app will look like on a mobile telephone device. The design is not a real working app, it's a designer, so you can actually manipulate the app on this in this column. And then we have the third column, which is sort of leftover kind of stuff. We have the publish options here, we have an app icon here, we have a photo trash can, and we have some app settings. So let's start at the middle, and let's work our way to the left and then to the right. So let's talk about the visual design. So here shows what an app will look like approximately. If you'll notice, this app has various sections to it. It has a top section, which is the logo. We have a next section here, which has some contact buttons. We have another section here, which is the share buttons. Then we have a gallery of images. And at the bottom we have our copyright line. So this app has 1, 2, the gallery, 3, 4, 5 sections in it. If you look over here on the sections layout, we have a logo at the top, contact, share, gallery, and copyright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more sections, so they match up. So this is what I would call a logical view of what your app looks like, and this is a visual view of what your app looks like. The reason we have two ways of viewing it is some are more useful than the others. Obviously, the visual design lets you know if things are looking right, and the logical design lets you manipulate the visual design. Although you can manipulate the visual design as well. So let's see some things we can do here. So one thing you can do in the layout section is you can change the order of the sections. So let's say I want the share buttons below the gallery, for example. I can take the share, click on it, and drag it and put it below the gallery and let go. And as soon as I let go, the visual design gets refreshed. So now you can see I got my logo, I got my contact, I got my gallery, and there's my share buttons right below the copyright. So that's one thing you can do over here in the layout section. Another thing you can do is you can edit or change each one of these sections by clicking on the cog. And the cog is the settings for the section. And depending on the type of section, the cog does something a little bit different because there's a different context depending on what the section is. So for example, on the logo, if I click on the logo cog, it brings me up the logo setting, and what I can do, just like I could in the Wizard setup brand, I can drag and drop or click on this to select a different logo. I won't do that. The contact buttons. This is a button setting, so if I click on it, what we see is we have a label here that says contact buttons. I can change this to whatever I want, change the wording, and what it will do is we reflect it over here in the layout section. So it's a way to make it make sense. I can put a margin above or below it, so if I want to space it out a little bit from the other sections, I can do that. I can change the background color. If not, it uses the default background color, which is black for this layout. I can change the text color. I can change the icon color. So each section can have its own color scheme. So you can have various colors as you go down your app if you prefer. For this particular section, the buttons, I can change the icon size of the buttons. So I can just select a different button. Let me do that. So I can make them real big, or I can make them a little bit smaller. I can change this word contact to whatever I want, the title that goes atop the buttons. And if I want, I can add additional buttons. I can either add a standard button or a custom button. Standard buttons are these buttons right here that are built into MyPhotoApp. I can just find one that I want, Let's go with a kitty cat, or I don't know if that's a kitty cat. I don't know what this is, but I'll select it. And there's the icon right there. And then what I can do is then click on the icons in here and edit it. This right now is a link to nothing. I can change the color. I can change the label, so I can put a word underneath if I want. I can, if it's a link type, I put a link, so when I press a button, it'll take you to the URL that you specify. I can change it to a text box, where I can type in some text here, and when you push the button, a text box will appear. Or I can do a lock app, so when they push the button, it'll lock the app. And this is like a child lock capability, so when people have this button on their screen, they can push it, and then they can put a password on it, and then the app will not be able to be used until somebody knows the password. Let me delete this icon because I really don't need it for anything. Let me show you what happens if you put a label in here under this mail icon. I can put email, because this is what it's doing. It's mailing us to the studio, and I can click save, and then you look, it puts the word email underneath it. As I make changes in these settings boxes, if I decide I don't like what I've done, I can always click the X button, and the changes will not take effect. Or I can click save, and they will take effect. So let me click save, and you'll notice right here we have email right here underneath the icon for the email. If I don't like that, I can go back over here and click on this cog again. Or, as I said, the visual designer is a design element, so we can change things on it. I can click anywhere in this section, and it'll bring up the section buttons settings again, just like it would happen if I went over here and clicked the cog. So there's two ways to get to the same spot, either clicking over here and finding it, or clicking on the other side. So let me go in here and edit this button and get rid of the email, because I don't particularly want that. I just want to show the feature. Let me save it, and went back to the way it was, except for, if you remember, I made the buttons a little bit smaller than the other ones. Let me bring up the share button so you can see the difference. It's smaller and bigger. The gallery, if I click on that cog, it'll let me manipulate the gallery. So let me click on it and show you what's available here. So we got various options here. We have, first of all, have a layout. There's various layouts that MyPhotoApp supports, and I suggest you play with these layouts and see which ones you like. There's like this automatic one that sort of fits things on the screen. We can force all the images into a one column, or force it to be 2 columns always, or 3 columns always. We have this thing called a block mode, which is, let me show you what that looks like. So I click on it and click save, and you can see what happens. It makes them a little bit bigger and puts them in sort of blocks, like bricks maybe is a better word. Let me go back to the gallery button. I can change it to block preserve order. So what block does is it tries to fit the images in as best it can. It doesn't preserve the order. This one guarantees that the order will be preserved. And finally, there's the slideshow mode. Let me show you that, because that's a little bit different. And I click slideshow, and what it is right here is where the image is, and it floats. It not floats. It slideshows through all the images. Let me go back and edit the gallery and turn that back into automatic. The other thing I can do is change the background color or the text color in this section, like the other ones. I can change the photo margin. Right now it's 5. If I want to make the margin smaller or bigger between the images, I can do that. I can include the names. So what happens is when you display the images on the app, it'll actually show you the file names. And this is useful if people are going to be placing orders off the app and they find a picture they want, they can tell you the image number pretty easily. You can force it to sort the images on upload. So when you upload them, it doesn't care what the order is that you upload them, it'll sort them. In here, you can drag and drop the images to change the order. So if I want this one over here and maybe this one up here, and let me put this one here. So I got 2 tall ones and so forth. I can do that. Or if I want to get rid of images, I can click this and drag it and drop it over here to delete it. But I don't want to do that. So let me, you can click sort photos by name. So if you have a bunch of them here, you want to sort them by name, I can click it, and there they're sorted by name. Or if I want to randomize them, I can click it like that and randomize. So let me drag this over here. And now I've got these two tall ones at the top. And let me click save. And sure enough, there's the two tall ones at the top and the 4 rectangular ones, or landscape ones. Copyright. I can click on copyright and change it. I can change the text if I want. Let me see. Copyright cook designer portraits. And I can, this is centered. I can make it left justified. I make it right justified, center it. I can bold text. I can underline, italics, strike through. I can change the font. I can change the size. I can change the color. I can make a link in here. Like I can take this set of text and turn it into a link. And here's my link. Let's change it to my website. And insert that. Now I've got a link in here. Let me click save. And down here you can see that it added a link. And if people click on that, it'll take them right to it. So that's how the layout sections work. You can manipulate these sections. You can change the colors. You can do whatever you want. To add sections, an additional section, like let's say I want to add a, I don't know, let's see what I can add up here. I can click this add section here to add another section down here in this layout sections. And I can add an image. And what an image is, it's a large image that's not part of a gallery. And what it does, well, let me just add one to show you. I'm going to click and I'm going to add this image right here. I think this is a square one. Let me open that. And it uploads the image, and it added it behind here, but it lets me now, if I want to add other things, I can. So I can add images, I can add text blocks on this thing, I can add a copyright. We've already got one copyright in there. I can add another one if there's like 2 sets of copyrights needed to be specified. I can add a video. The videos can be either from Vimeo, Animoto, or YouTube videos. I can add another logo. I can add buttons, another set of buttons. I can add sharing buttons again. I add contact buttons again. And contact buttons and sharing buttons and lock buttons are sort of special cases of buttons. You can just click on buttons and do them add your buttons as you see fit. But with these sharing, contact, and lock buttons, they're already pre-filled to some degree for you. I can add another gallery if I want to, so I could have like more than one gallery. Case of that may be where I want like engagement images up top and wedding images below or something. I can add music, either upload my own music file or music from my library. Let me select a song here. I can find a song in here like this one. I can preview it and see if I like it. Sounds good to me, so I stopped it. Let me save it. So I added it behind here as well. And when I'm done adding things, I can click SX, and then you see right here I've got an image and this music, good things down below. So let me scroll down here so you can see what happens. So here's the image that I added, this big image that I mentioned, and the music. Well, typically you don't want this below the copyright, so what I can do is move these where I want them. So let me start with the image up here above the gallery. Oh, I moved it too far up above the gallery. Try again. There we go. And put the music up below the gallery. So now what I've got is this app, which comes down here. Got my buttons, have this large image, and which is not part of the gallery. And this is good for putting like a showcase image that you want to focus, put a focus at the top of the app on. Or a lot of photographers have marketing images that they put in this way as well. And our app, music icon down here, if I want to click on this, it'll let me change the color or let me loop the music if I want. This is the song Good Things. Let me say that. And that's pretty much it for manipulating or adding a sections, how you add that. We have this layout settings. Each of these sections I showed you before has things like colors you can specify and so forth. These are using the default colors. The default colors come from up here in this layout sections. So I can specify the default colors for the app. I can also specify the SEO information for the app. If you don't know what SEO is, you can go click on this button and it'll talk to you about it. What it basically does is let search engines find your websites easier. So what you can do is put in here some information about your main website here's an example, and some SEO text. So when people do a search like on Georgetown, Kentucky photographer, anybody that has an app out there that's searchable will point back to my website and give it more linking power. Let me see here. So we have two buttons here at the bottom, and I'll talk about this in a second. But if I click save only, save this app only, means that these settings are saved just for this app. It's not for future apps. If I click on the save as default for future apps, the layout and all the sections below that we've defined are saved. So when I create a new app in the future, the apps are have these settings the way that I've got set up for this app. The save layout is the exact same thing as save as default for future apps. It does the same thing. So what it'll do is let me set a standard up or a common look and feel for all my apps. And if in the future I create an app and I want to make one different, I can just go in here and change anything I want and not click the save layout. So if you're making changes to your apps, especially initially, when you first start using MyPhotoApp, it's very important when you change the layout sections that you click the save layout to save it for your as you create more apps in the future. So that's the layout column. That's the visual design column. I showed you pretty much how you can click on any of these sections and it brings them up. Let me show you one more feature with the visual design. These images, I can also in here drag and drop these images to change order. So if I want to take this one and bring it down a little bit, I can bring it down here, and now you can see it's way down here and the order is kind of different. The other thing I can do is just drag this over here and change the app icon, which I think I've shown you before. So let's talk about this third column. This is the last column. We have a publish button. When you're done making changes to the app and you're happy and you want to produce it, you click the publish button. I'll do this, show you what it looks like. Click publish. It publishes the app, gives me the URL, the time it was created, a sample email. I can, if I don't want to, and this sample email is useful so you can copy it like this. And then I press Control C or Command C on a Mac and paste it into my email client, and I can send it my email program, and send it off to my client for them to use. If I don't like the wording on here, I want to change it to make it more personalized for my business, I can click Edit here, and it'll bring up a menu where I can go change the words in here, and then I can save it, and then this wording will change. I can click on this link to see the app like before. Here it comes up. There's a big image, my showcase image, and the little ones below it. Let me close this down. If later I come in and I want to see what the publish status is, this basically gives me the same thing as that window without actually publishing. Shows me when it was published. I can click on the link to use again. I got publish options. There are three options. One is to not cache the images. Here's some information about what that means. The other is to wait for the image to download before the app starts. This tells you about that. And the third one is to send a publish email. So whenever MyPhotoApp publishes, basically, whenever you click this publish button, you will get an email sent from MyPhotoApp. This is the app icon. As I mentioned before, the app icon is the button when the app is installed on a phone. We have a photo trash can. What a photo trash can is good for is if I have any of these images, whether the big one or any of these small ones that I don't want anymore in the app, instead of going into the gallery here and dragging and dropping up the trash can, I can also just take this one and just drag it over to the trash can, and it gets deleted. So I can delete right from the visual designer. App settings. We have a title. A title normally matches the app name. Now, the difference what a title is the title is what goes underneath the icon when it's installed on a phone. So when you install the app on a mobile device, you push a button to install it, and once you install it, it pops up a little menu that says, hey, here's your icon, and here is the title for the app. And you have the option to change the title if you want, and then you click it, really install it. So a person can override this, or you can put it whatever you want, change it here as a default for them. You can set an initial app password, meaning people cannot download or access the app without entering a password by clicking here. If you click on it, it pops up a menu, you can enter the password. I can set an expiration date. So if I want the app to expire and no longer work at a future time, let's say that this is a proofing app I made and it's only available for 30 days. This puts a little sense of urgency on them, and once the 30 days is expired, the app will no longer work. You don't need to go in here and actually delete the app to have it stop working. We have this concept of an email campaign. There's another video on it, MyPhotoApp, that talks about the email campaign. But basically what it does is it lets you select a campaign where when people open your app, they're prompted for an email address, for their email address. And it is saved, and then you can collect these email addresses and then do what you want with it. So this is the builder, and pretty much it's all its glory detail. The other option, or the other thing I want to mention, is each of these little eyes on here is help. So if you forget something, you can always click on an eye, and it will tell you information about how the column works. Or if you totally forget, just come back and listen to this video again. Thanks, and see you in the next video.